going to tell you about my story, the very short version, and bear with me, and as well as the speakers come here today to tell you about their journey. Open up your hearts. Let's learn from each other. Let's also grow, So I grew up in a 3-roomed shack in the Free State. It was 3-roomed because we had divided it with curtains. So every day, without fail, my brother after school would play soccer, and I also played what I called soccer. I would take an exercise book, like those notebooks, I would take an exercise book and a lot of magazines and cut out the pictures of things that I wanted, whether it's a house, whether it's a bed, whether it's clothes, whether it's a car, and then I'll take the Prit glue, and glue everything in that book. So every day after school, I would then go back to my book, the soccer book, and imagine this life that I wanted, but I was still very young, So when other kids were crying over teddy bears, my mother knew that if I had to go to Ritz, where Alessa and I sort of grew up together, because we know each other from like when we were kids, So when I had to go that side, and my mother forgot to pack my soccer book, it was hectic. So that book was my life, really. It was my sanity, and I quickly realized that I was changing my life. I was changing my life by renewing my thoughts rather every day. And at school, there's just a short story. There was Mrs. Motaung. She was a class teacher. When the government introduced the free meals for kids, Mrs. Motaung came to class and counted all the kids who were deemed as underprivileged. So after she counted everybody else, she didn't call out my name. So as a child, I was also very expressive, only because of my parents, and because every time I went to my parents to tell them that, I had a fight with another kid, they'll always ask me, what did you do to defend yourself, So all the time, when I get beaten up all the time, I had to learn to defend myself, even if it's from older people. So I immediately confronted Mrs. Mondawi that you counted everybody else here who doesn't come to school with lunches. What about me? And she just softly laughed and said, ha, Lukhele, go sit down. And she gave me an apple. That day, I realized that a lot of people didn't really view me as a kid who would come to school without lunch, a kid who comes from this shack, a kid who was struggling, a kid whose mother was a domestic worker, because of the way I had captured my mind, So I immediately attracted a lot of kids who were from privileged places and backgrounds, So because of that, I would then go sometimes on weekends and visit these kids at their homes, and then I would see the house looking like the house in my soccer book, I'd be like, yay, this is great. And sometimes I'd go and work with my mother at the madam's house, because you see I'm tall, and she'd always say, come and help me with the windows, which I hated so much, So I remember that day when we got there and my mother was like, wash the windows. I was like, no, the TV is on my soccer book, I gotta I gotta experience it, Exactly. So immediately after that, I realized that, even if I come from this shack and when it's raining, we have a lot of buckets that we need to take out, there's water dripping everywhere. If that girl did not renew her mind, if that girl did not think, I can be anything I want in life, I wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be here in this office today. Because I'm here today because of that girl did not let her situation define her. I'm here today because of, I believed in myself that I can do whatever that I want. I can, if I think it, I can be it, So you are here today. Probably some of you are even suffering from depression. You are sad, you don't have a job, or you just know a lot of women out there who are unemployed. But just don't let your situation define you. It's because of our mind that today I'm where I am today. So it's very hot in here, yeah. But thank you so much, ladies, for coming. That's my story. I own Katso Media. We work from here. It's been over a year now, and we work on some of the biggest brands in the country, and some of the banks are our clients. And really, I always think of that little girl who believed that she can achieve anything. Because if it weren't for that little girl, those clients wouldn't be achieving so many things that we do for them without our help. You know what I mean? So yeah, thank you so much. I had worked for a lot of PR and advertising agencies after I graduated, and I would always quit after 9 months. I've never worked for anyone else for more than a year, you know. So I'd always quit. So when I was 24, 26, I realized that this is insane. I'm only 24 years old. I've worked for about 6 companies. I can't do this. So immediately I made a decision that I need to start my own company. And also because of, I find it very hard for me to follow another person's vision. Because remember, when you work for Katso Media, you're not working for Ntabise, you're working for Dimakatso's vision. You know, so if we are not aligned, it's going to be you're going to be a problematic employee. And that's exactly who I was to a lot of bosses that I used to work with, because they had their own stuff that they wanted to achieve from employing people. And I also had my own. I wanted to lead, I wanted to create a lot of things, and they wouldn't let me do that. So with using Katso Media and creating it, I wanted to do something that they couldn't let me do. So in this company, I'm able to say, oh, I just thought of an idea. Oh, Alisa just called me from South Korea. She says, let's do an I Am Woman event. I don't have a boss that I have to go and ask. I can just pray about it, and if God says yes, I do it, you know? So I wanted that freedom to be able to follow my dreams. Remember that when you are self-employed, as much as it may be difficult and you have the freedom to go after your purpose. Nobody owns your time. When you're employed, they own your time 9 to 5. But when you are not, I own my time. So I can do whatever that I want. That's why that girl in me still says, I can achieve anything I want.